week, we asked how many times have people searched online for Kate Middleton's topless pictures. And the answer is a staggering 350 million.
Welcome back to Thursday Show with Christopher Biggins, Larry Tanner and Joe McLederry. Your eyes popped out of your head when you saw the numbers there.
I can't believe that.
350 million hits, yeah. So to come this morning, how would you cope if you discovered that your longtime partner had once had a fling with your best mate before you got it together? Would you be very angry you hadn't been told? Does it depend on who informed you of this fact? 0207 173 5555. That's the number for your stories. But first, I'm asking if we are a nation of hypocrites. Please don't be too shy to come on the phone with this, though. But I do want to know how many of us have expressed outrage at the way the world's media, the French in particular, have treated Kate Middleton's lady bumps. More, fewer, or the same in number as went online to have a look. I do wonder. The British press were outraged by the antics of the French maid Closer, and subsequently the Italian, Swedish, and Danish glosses that reprinted those pictures. And quite right, too, our newspapers would never intrude on someone's privacy. On Monday, the majority of our callers agreed that the Kate pics amounted to a gross invasion of the Duchess's privacy. Fair play to the Guardian newspaper that told us 72% of its readers thought the pics intrusive, and yet 43% admitted having a look at them online. After the furore that followed the death of Princess Diana in 1997, the coroner, of course, blamed the paparazzi. Long-lens photographs went briefly out of fashion, but they came back, right, now with a vengeance. And the question I want answered is, well, whose fault is that? Is it the paparazzi for taking them, newspapers for publishing them, or ultimately is it our fault for buying the magazines and visiting the websites that carry these images? You know, if we weren't looking, would people still take these pictures? The legal row in France is expected to cost French Closer nigh on 100 grand. And yet the increased sales and publicity the pics have generated is worth much, much more to the magazine. So they don't care about the fine. Psychologists say interest in forbidden fruit is in our nature. It's primal. It's a childlike curiosity. That's probably why it appears at the beginning of the Bible, you know, Adam and Eve. We want to know, though, what the fuss is about. I'll hold my hands up, right? And I will admit to having had a look at the snaps of Harry and the Buff. I don't know why. I just had to have a look. But I didn't look at the pictures of Kate because I was told originally they were paparazzi pictures, and I thought, well, if I do, then I will be no different from the pap that took them, Larry.
I haven't looked at the Kate pictures, partly because I'm just not very interested in another woman's breasts, to be honest. And I didn't look at the Harry ones either. I'm not...
So you're not interested in breasts and you're not interested in winky woos either?
No, not particularly ones that it tends to be the person attached to them that I quite like. Right, you know what I mean? Not just kind of random ones of people I don't know.
But 350 million people
and I do think it's a completely natural thing because it's interesting, isn't it? Because to a certain extent, you've never thought of newspapers and magazines as moral guardians, but when you edit a newspaper or magazine, you make lots of decisions. I remember a very famous person when I joined a Red Top, and they had photographs from their honeymoon, long-length photographs, which I was shown, of this couple having sex on their honeymoon, and the newspaper didn't print them. Everybody on the newspaper saw them, but at that point, there wasn't the internet. And newspapers make decisions all the time about what they should print based on, will they be sued? What about the existing relationship with that famous person? Will it damage it so extremely that they won't get any access? And with the royal family, that's a big, you know, you don't want to upset the palace too much because otherwise you won't get any access to the royals at all. And also commercial interest, because sometimes readers react very firmly against a newspaper as the purveyor of what they regard as something that's very anti one of their stars. Right. But the internet, of course, is an absolute race to the bottom. The internet panders to the very worst, well, also the best in some cases, but the very worst instincts in all of us. And so it's interesting that it's, in this case, newspapers and magazines, British ones, have made a kind of good moral decision. But
well, hang on, yeah, but then we can speak. I mean, Prince Harry, the Sun ran the Prince Harry pictures, yeah. And lots of people looked at those. I want to know, Larry, if you look, are you on the same level?
No.
As the paparazzo?
No, you're not. Because
so the paparazzo is creating a market.
You didn't take the picture, but it's available for you to see. I'm not saying
but the only reason why did the paparazzo take the picture?
To make money.
Right. And where does the money get made from?
Of course it does.
It gets made from the sales our interest in that subject. Therefore, if we didn't have the interest, there wouldn't be a market.
No, but I think it's human nature for the interest to be there. And once something is available, some people will go and find it.
I agree.
But they didn't crouch
really?
in the garden.
I really do. I feel quite strongly about it, actually, because I think, you know, it's like reading the papers to see if you're in them. On a morning or something, you know. I mean, it's fascinating,
Well,
but of course...
Some of us don't do, actually.
No, but also you don't want to be in them, though. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you...
No, hang on. There is a slight difference. If you don't know, you don't know. Okay? That leaves you vulnerable, so you want to find out. In the case of the Kate Middleton pictures, within minutes of news coming out that these pictures existed, we heard from Buck House that St James's Palace widely condemned them, and we heard that the couple were very upset. So as most people were learning of the existence of the pictures, they were also learning of the fact that the subject of those pictures was deeply upset, and then we all had a look. So
Hypocrisy.
it is hypocrisy?
It is.
Are we on the same moral level as the paparazzi?
No, I agree with Larry.
You don't think?
No, I don't think so. I think that it is just then open to everybody actually wanting to have a look out of interest. I mean, I think
it's that. If we had any kind of moral fibre at all, we would say this poor woman, right, is upset in a situation that led to the death of what would have been her mother-in-law, Princess Diana, hounded to death, affected by the paparazzi, had a key role in her death. Okay, so you have a situation where the victim's husband, right, lost his mother to a paparazzi situation that everybody is aware of, and yet we forget all about what happened to Diana, all about that, to have a look. I mean, we should be ashamed of ourselves, shouldn't we? I can understand what the paparazzi does. The paparazzi does it because he knows that we want to watch.
Does that not apply to a lot of other celebrities that are hounded?
I think it does.
But I feel like because they're the royals, and I think if it was Lady Gaga or Beyonce who was being hounded and chased, if she had it, I know it's totally different, and I don't condone it in any way, but I feel like everybody would be like, well, it's Beyonce, she chose to do that, but because it's a royal, it's totally different.
Well, I mean, the idea of Lady Gaga being hounded, I mean, she goes out of her way
but somebody else who doesn't go out of her way to
attract...
attract...
Kristen Stewart, for example, and the pictures of her embracing somebody who was not her boyfriend, those, you know, she was mortally embarrassed by those pictures.
I suppose there is a fine line, and I haven't seen the picture.
You haven't either?
I don't really have any interest to see them.
Funny that.
Really... They don't really...
How many ones? You have a look?
I haven't seen them either.
Just like you.
I did.
But I don't know, I just think...
It's a chicken and egg for me,
yeah.
Right? Which came first? Was it the interest in these photographs or the supply of them by the paparazzi? And I guess like the chicken and egg argument, it's probably impossible to say which came first. But I do find it incredible that we as a nation were so outraged by the death of Diana, and all the newspapers promised us no more long lens photos, and then you actually said, in this particular instance, you say we forget, but it's difficult to forget when you actually look at the poor woman's husband lost his mum as a direct result.
And his mum never sunbathed topless. You know.
No.
You know.
No. She got packed on the back of a boat, didn't she? On the back of a yacht,
and she knew she'd be public there. If we were on a yacht, you expect that.
Okay, so, are we a nation of hypocrites? That's what we're going to find out. I want to go to our audience first of all and speak to some of Joe's fans.
Okay, hello Julie.
Hello.
So do you think you're a hypocrite if you see these photos?
Oh, most definitely. I wouldn't want to see... I just feel everybody has a right to privacy. That if you choose to go into the public eye, that's fine. But if you're in your own private time, then you have a right to that privacy.
So you never looked?
No, not at all. Wouldn't even dream of it. I mean, she is the future queen of our country, and that, again, demands respect. But to anyone that's out of the public eye and is in their own private time has a right to that privacy.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Well done for not looking. I'm quite surprised, because just about everybody I've met, when I ask them, they will say they have had a peek. Do you think... is it fair to say that those of us that do look at these images are on a kind of same level as the
well, maybe not on the same level, because curiosity will always be there. But I think you have to take a personal stand on it, and I do feel that people are entitled to their privacy in whatever walk of life. The moment you come from behind, say, the cameras of life, it's your own time.
So if I told you I've got some pictures of Joe stark naked doing all kinds of things, you wouldn't be interested in seeing them?
I think Joe would be horrified if you had photographs of him naked that may get into the public domain. So no, because I think he's entitled to his privacy as well. Yes, I agree. I wouldn't.
Okay. You have someone with some morals, and the lady on the other side there. Mum.
Hello.
I see them drop by.
So can you be a hypocrite to see these
remember me?
photos?
Yes, I suppose so, but I still think it's the papers that pay large sums of money for it.
Why do they pay large sums of money for them?
Well, because they will get people looking at it, but...
And if nobody looked at it, they wouldn't pay any money for it. I'll promise you that much. If nobody was interested, newspapers wouldn't pay a penny for the photographs.
I just opened it up on Twitter, which was a lot
but that's
sooner than the paper.
So you have had a peek?
Yes.
So
no, that was Harry. Sorry.
Oh, Harry. Do you feel in any way responsible for in a tiny way, are you not slightly responsible for the paparazzi?
No.
Because they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for people like you.
I don't buy newspapers.
But you do peek at the pictures.
I bet I look at on Twitter. It's true.
Is that different? Is looking at a newspaper, is looking at the magazine or looking at a newspaper different from viewing the images on Twitter? No. Or is it the same?
Well, I suppose
same
the papers
photos.
don't make money from it. That's the only difference, isn't it? But the pictures are still getting viewing time.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, ladies. And on the phone?
Karen on line 1.
Morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Have you had a look at the pictures?
Yes, I actually specifically looked them up.
Okay, and without...
I'm a hypocrite.
You're a hypocrite, do you think?
Yeah, I must be, because according to what you've been saying this morning...
Well, I just want to know whether you think... that's what I say. What do you think? Do you think you're...
I think, if you're going to take from the privy purse and, you're living an enchanted life, I'm sorry, it's all part of the game. It's human nature.
Wait, hang on. You're saying lots of things very quickly. So, because she's part of the game, she is entitled to no privacy. Is that...
She didn't go into this marriage with her eyes closed.
I agree, but that's not the same as the question I've asked you, which is, because she has married a royal, she has waived her right to a private life. Is that what you're asserting?
No, what I'm saying is, because of who she is, she should have known better. However, she made a mistake. We can't police the world. We can't police the paparazzi around the world.
No, but we can choose not to look, Karen, and then the market would die.
I choose not to buy newspapers. Like one of your ladies said earlier, I don't buy newspapers. I certainly wouldn't pay to see these. But out of curiosity, by then, they're going to sue every country around the world. Now it's out of control. And they've engineered that. That's happened because they made such a fuss.
No, they haven't engineered it. It's because we haven't stopped looking. That's why, Karen.
Well...
I worked in red top tabloids all the way through the death of Diana and out the other side, and the one thing I can say with absolute 100% confidence is the reason these photos keep coming through is because we, the public, want to see them. If we didn't, there would be no market.
The reason why these photographs keep coming through is because they're naive enough to think they're exempt. And I'm sorry, they should have learned the lesson of the tragedy of Diana.
You're missing the point that the paparazzi wouldn't take the photograph if there wasn't a market to view them. If the magazines knew that you weren't going to look, they wouldn't buy them.
For as long as there's a man on this planet, there'll always be a market to look at a naked woman.
But I haven't looked and you have, so there's no sense in that argument either.
Well, I looked out of curiosity.
Unless you're back for the other side, which of course is entirely possible.
Like the rubbernecker on the motorway when there's an accident, you can't help yourself.
Well, again, I take a different view on that. I think you should be ashamed of yourself rubbernecking at accidents.
Oh, I am terribly ashamed of myself, but that's the beauty of being in prison. It's free, we can do what we want. As long as we don't hurt anybody. It didn't hurt her.
Okay, let's just say, as long as we don't hurt anybody, and what was the verdict in Princess Diana's death? It was, in both France and UK, the paparazzi had a contributory role in her death, and that was because they were following to take photographs to service people like you.
But we didn't see Diana topless, did we?
I don't know what's that got to do with the price of fish. But anyway, Karen, thanks very much for the call. We've got to take a break, after which we're asking how would you cope if you discovered your partner had once had a fling with your best mate before you got it together? Could you put it behind you? Does it all depend on who told you? 0207 173 5555 is the number for your stories, and we'll hear as many of them as we can after another quick break for refreshments.
What did you Discovering your best mate once had a fling with your missus, a plot from. Is it Bridget Jones's Diary, Thomas Hardy's Mayor of Casterbridge, or 50 Shades of Grey? Find out in 3.